everybody, it's me, Laura, and today we're going to do another madness makeover. Yes, number 15. Yes. A jewelry session. Yes, I'm sorry. I've got jewelry stuff and they need to be made over. And so we're going to start here today. This is a pink, I think, shell piece, and I just did not like the looks of this. I thought we need to change this up. So I took the jump ring right out of it right away. I thought, let's get that gone. So we have just the piece itself. It was fairly heavy, but you know, sometimes I think this was actually shell, so it was a little bit, it was going to be that way, right? And I'm bringing in some scrap clay here, and I rolled that out on a number 4 setting, or it could be a number 3. You could do a number 3 setting, and I think you'd be just fine. But the thinner, for me, it's a little bit better to work with because you already have the weight of the shell piece. Now, if you don't have something like this, and I know this is a madness, right? If you don't have something like this, you can also bring in your Deco cutters and use your 4th smallest Deco cutter, your circle cutter, to create the bigger form, and then bring in your Kemper cutters and use your largest Kemper cutter in the circle form as the inner circle to this piece. So you can recreate this if you don't have, and I know most of you are like, okay, well, you got this as a, this was one of those thrift store finds, right? You know, to create this piece. So to recreate it, that's what I would definitely do. And use, of course, your sheet, your deli sheet, to make sure it looks like a nice domed kind of look. Anyways, I'm bringing in also one of my segmented petal canes, and this is like a purple to a magenta to a yellow kind of petal cane. And then I went ahead and I started wrapping this around onto the scrap clay. And once I do that, we're then going to move on to doing more features onto the scrap clay piece itself. I really love the steampunk thing, okay? okay. And I think it also kind of goes towards the whole idea of doing a little bit of a free form element in it also. And that's what we're going to be looking at next. But right here, of course, I had to reform my hole in my pendant piece. And in doing so, I realized something. I really shouldn't have had all of these petal pieces put down. I want to bring in that steampunk element, and part of it was also bringing in a couple of flattened pieces, which really right here, this sheet has been done on a number 4 setting on my Atlas Pots machine, and then I'm just cutting a few strips, and I want them to go into the center there and wrap around, and I didn't want all of those petals there. However, that said, you could do it like this, or you could just leave the petals and just go right over the top of them. But I wanted to have it where there were no petals there, just to kind of give it a different look when I placed that in. And then I took another strip and I thought, okay, I like that, because I was like, okay, do this, and then I'll add in some little horizontal pieces that go right over the top of it. But I also needed to add in, I've got 2 strips here, right? That's nice, but in my mind, I'm eventually going to have to put 3, and so the 3rd stripe is going to go right over the top of the petal area. So keep that in mind. If you want to go ahead and take off another petal area, you could. Me, I just thought, I did what I could, and we're going to keep going on. So right here, this is what I'm doing. I'm just going to add in that free form kind of steampunk sort of idea or look, and I'm just making some pointed strips, throwing that in, adding a little bit of a different look to it, and it makes it so much fun, because I could make this thing where it's just all cane work, right? But no, we wanted to be able to do something where I wanted to bring in eventually, and I'm already giving away little secrets here and there. Yeah, right. You know, I'm going to be bringing in my metallic paints, and I love those things because to me, sometimes you need just a little bit more flash, and I like my canes. Don't get me wrong, I love the cane work, but sometimes you want to add in just a little bit more zing, I'm here. And that's where I find that the metallic paints really do that. So from here, I'm going to go ahead and let you guys just watch my hands talk as I form up more and more of this free-form steampunk kind of look onto this pendant piece. All right, so now we're going to start bringing in my black matte paint, or if you really want to, you could use that sequin black, which is kind of like a metallic, and it's a little bit more shiny, a little more glossy. You could use that too. That's under the folk art though. This is going to be using some of my Deco paints, and I really do like those. They are so much fun. Anyways, you're going to be painting up the scrap clay, and this has been baked now, just so we clarify. This pendant piece has been baked, and it has been baked at 275 degrees for about 10 to 15 minutes. Now, mind you, for those of you, I have shorter baking times, and for many of you out there, you might be also in a different altitude and climate. I'm at a high altitude and I have a very dry, arid climate. So baking this at that temperature for that span of time works. For you, it might have to be longer, especially if you're in a more humid climate and you're at sea level. All of that makes a difference. So whatever works for you to get this thing baked thoroughly, definitely do so. Anyway, with that clarification, I'm bringing in my rose gold here. This is my Deco Art paints, my metallic paints. I'm bringing in my rose gold, and I'm going to paint the background part of that black now in that rose gold. Once I have that done, I decided to kind of bring in a little bit of my purple. I love that amethyst. Oh, it's so pretty. And I want to do that in the straps, and then also bring in a little bit of silver with my shimmering silver and my splendid gold to kind of finish up this area with that nice little steampunk thing kind of going on. So from here, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to let you guys just watch my hands talk then, or I should say the paintbrush talk, as I paint up this pendant piece. Okay, so as I was going along here, I thought I needed to chime in here. I decided to go right to some of my little ball tools to create some of these dots, and boy, oh boy, I think I really like that because it's, to me, it was almost so much easier because I don't have to control a brush then. I could go right to a ball tool. And of course, those ball tools, you could get really tiny little ball ends there to go ahead and make that little dot on your clay. So keep that in mind. You know, some of your sculpting tools might come in handy in the paint area, and that's what I did here. I also then, once I got all of these little dots put in, I decided to bring in, of course, my water-based varnish and varnish over the entire thing. You also notice that I put another little jump ring, or I should say it's actually a fairly hefty jump ring at the top of this. If you're doing this from just pure clay and you're not using like a shell piece like I have here, you can go with a lot lighter weight kind of jump ring in, you know, in this piece to attach in your chain. So don't feel like you have to go with a really hefty duty one. For me, because this was a madness makeover, and yes, I'm using a piece of shell that had some weight to it, yes, I'm going to need to use a heavier duty kind of jump ring on this pendant. Okay, so in creating the pendant, I thought I want to make some matching earrings to go with it. I mean, that pendant's all alone. He's so sad. Right? And you're like going, okay. So anyway, here, I'm bringing in those Deco cutters. This is the second smallest cutter that I had in that set. And then I'm going to bring in my largest Kemper cutter in the circular form. And we're going to cut in that inner circle just like I had done, or I should say just like mimicking what the pendant piece had. And this way then I'll get the earring set I really like. So make sure you have it where it's offset, and then when you cut down, mind you, I didn't use my deli sheet, but you could. To me, it really didn't matter too much in this regard. I don't know why, it just seemed to work out okay. And then of course, I'm bringing in a little bit more of that segmented petal cane that I had developed. Now, the thing is, as you could tell here, I don't have a lot of that segmented petal cane left. So because I didn't have a whole lot left, I decided let's go ahead and use a few pieces. We don't have to go all the way around like I had almost done on that pendant piece. Let's just use a few pieces to kind of mimic what was going on with the pendant itself. So I brought in, and I thought I wanted one petal piece that would be kind of on the top, and then I'd have like 3 pieces on the bottom, kind of mimicking that. And then again, also mimicking the original pendant piece. Let's go ahead and use a little bit of a steampunky kind of feel to it, and bringing in some of those straps and also the little screwdriver thing. In this regard also, I changed up my clay, so I'm not using my scrap clay, I'm using my black clay. Now you could use Kato black, I like that, or if you want to take your mud, you could always take some of Kato's blackout clay and change it into your black. And this way then, I just thought I could save myself the time of not having to paint that background piece at all. I also need to mention here that in this video, I forgot to put in the eye pins and the backing on this set of earrings. It totally blanked. Just totally forgot it. So really, just to kind of give you an idea, I did my usual, my standard. I brought in my eye pins. I baked up the top part first. I then brought in a fresh sheet of black clay that was rolled out on a number 3 or 4 setting, would work just fine. And then brought in my eye pin where I made that little hook form, placed that down onto that fresh sheet, take the baked piece of your earrings, place that over the top using my liquid translucent clay and a little bit of super glue to adhere it down on there. And then of course I trace it out with my needle tool or even using my X-Acto knife. So if you were wondering, yeah, Laura kind of forgot that, so please forgive me. I'll make sure I do it next time. So once again, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to let you guys watch my hands talk as I finish up sculpting the matching earring set to our pendant. All right, so once again, we've got our pieces here that have been baked at 275 degrees. For me, it's 10 to 15 minutes. And then I'm bringing in that rose gold once more. I'm going to start painting that background piece. And then I'll bring in my silver. I'll bring in a little bit of gold. And of course, my amethyst. And I loved how this all kind of came together. The one difference I did find in doing these earrings was that when I painted pretty much the little bolt areas, the little, I did not paint on the inside of it. It was one little difference that I kind of wanted to show you. I thought about going back. I thought, well, maybe I could go ahead and no. Leave the pendant piece the way I had it, because I wanted to show you the difference of where I took my silver, I had inserted that silver into those little bolts or little screws or whatever you call it that I have into my pendant, and then here I decided, no, let's leave that black. Let's leave it the way where it's just on the surface where I had painted it with that silver. And I liked, really my favorite was doing it this way, where I kind of, and I think it was because the feature of that little screw or that bolt or whatever you call it, I'm not real good with the whole thing. Yeah, I know. Anyway, the difference there was that you got to see that little added detail or feature to that screw, okay? And I liked that. I thought, yeah, a little bit of extra detail doesn't hurt. It works great. And it probably would have worked even better on the pendant piece too. But I wanted to show that difference so you guys had, this way then you had a choice. It's like, well, I like that or I don't like that. This way then you could see it. Now, as you can tell here, I'm also varnishing over these little earrings. Guess what Laura forgot? Yeah, Laura forgot to put the dots in on the petals. So after this dried, I went back in with that Splendid gold again and made the little dots onto the petal, I should say the petal pieces on these earrings, and finished that up. But really, I didn't get that done until I had already put in the earring findings on these earrings. So after I got the earring findings in and I had already varnished it. I went back in and I put in that Splendid gold little dot pattern after I had already put in the earring findings and after I'd already varnished it, so I would have to go back in and revarnish again right over the petal pieces. Anyway, from here, once more, I'll let you guys watch my hands talk as I complete up these earrings to our pendant piece. All right, so this is the end result of creating my Madness Makeover number 15. Please use this for study and reference. And if you like this video, please like, subscribe, and leave me a comment. I'm always wondering what you're thinking. Otherwise, I am sending out my biggest hugs to each of you, and I hope you have a fantastic day.